Welcome to this edition of Office Hours. I'm very happy to have this opportunity to communicate directly with the campus community through this new medium. Lots of things going on the campus, including, of course, the fact that we've got yet another group of very fine students in our classrooms and on the campus and in the university center. And so there is the usual excitement of a university going about its business. But there's also the fact of a continuing economic crisis, which we face here in the state and in the nation. And so I'd like to spend a little bit of time talking today about some of the efforts that the campus is making to allow us to adjust as well and as productively as we can to the current economic situation of the state. The governor in her State of the State address recently talked about the initiatives that the state is undertaking to create jobs, to encourage the formation of new businesses, and to encourage the creation of an ever larger number of talented and qualified people in the state, young people in the state. And we are certainly entirely supportive of all of those efforts. I certainly understand that the universities are a key part of that effort to improve the economic opportunities which our citizens are able to have access to. And Dearborn, through its metropolitan mission, is deeply committed to finding ways of assisting in the economic development and the jobs growth and the growth of the talent base of Southeast Michigan. Let's talk a little bit about the specific challenges which face us right now. The state of Michigan now has an unemployment rate that's a little over 10%. State revenues, we know, will be depressed for the coming year, and so there's a lot of uncertainty about what decisions will have to be made in Lansing. And of course, we're especially concerned about the appropriation to the universities. The higher ed appropriation has declined pretty consistently over the past 5 years. And so more and more of the burden of funding the university's activities has fallen on the side of tuition. And at some point in the future, we hope that that balance will begin to recover. But in the meantime, we have to make the prudent, careful decisions that are necessary to assure that we are able to accomplish our central priorities on this campus. Our central priorities are, number one, academic quality. Being able to provide the great instruction, the great courses, the great curricula and curriculum opportunities for our students, which Dearborn has always been distinguished for. So academic quality. Secondly, maintaining access for our students through financial aid. And every year, since this crisis began 5 years ago, every year we have been able to increase the amount of financial aid which is distributed by the campus in support of the opportunities which our students need to have, whether or not they're able to afford a full tuition. And third, we have the priority of maintaining a fair and positive and forward-looking work environment for all of our employees, faculty and staff. Those are our central budget priorities. Now, one thing that I know, and I think everyone listening to me knows, is that a university is a very people-centered activity. Most of the expenses, something like 2/3 of the expenses of the university, go into wages and benefits because teaching and supporting the teaching activity is a very people-centered form of work. And that means really that there's a kind of a direct proportion, a direct relationship between the resources that we need and the quality of the output. I know that we have spent the past 5 years doing quite a bit of cost containment, very careful analysis of how can we balance the resources that we have with the educational mission that we have on the campus. And we have done an awful lot of cost cutting and budget control and budget maintenance over those 5 years. It has been a difficult task, and it will continue to be a difficult task. And one thing I can pledge everyone listening, and I can pledge the state, is that we will be absolutely diligent in doing all the planning and all of the careful scrutiny of the costs which are expended on the campus and the priorities which we have and which we're committed to fulfilling. Now, one question which often comes up is the question of the level of tuition. And one comment that I would like to make is that tuition at the University of Michigan-Dearborn is still very affordable. at about $8,500 a year, round numbers. This is an educational bargain, I think. And we have been very diligent in previous years trying to maintain our total budget through moderate tuition increases. But the thing which I understand very, very well is that the quality of the education that we can offer is directly affected by the stability and the level of the resources that we have available. I have been in many conversations around the campus in the past month with leaders and with budget directors, and a very consistent message has come out of those conversations, and that is that every budget manager, whether it's a vice chancellor or a dean or a budget director, that we all need to be looking very, very carefully at expenditures in the coming year, whether it's hiring decisions or other kinds of major expenditures. I've asked at every level, I've asked budget directors and leaders of the campus to scrutinize all expenditures very, very carefully. We know that it's going to be a tough year in the coming year. That being said, we're committed to continuing to provide the range of course opportunities and the quality of instruction which this campus has promised to our students. As we're talking about the financial situation of the university, one thing that is very clear to me is that continuing to be able to grow the campus is a very important element of our future financial security. I'm therefore very happy to be able to report that the winter semester numbers have come out with decent growth year to year over last January, with something like 2.5% overall credit hour growth. That's just great news for the campus, and I express my appreciation to everyone who is helping us both to recruit new students and also to retain our students.